Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Nurhanis Izati binti Zaira Azhar and I will be your host for tonight's event. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone for attending this debate show, a program organized by Kelab Debat dan Pidato UiTM, Cawangan Terengganu, Kampus Dungun and Cawangan Pahang on this lovely Thursday evening. Greetings to Madam Nurhana binti Muhammad Salim, Advisor of Kelab Debat dan Pidato UiTM, Cawangan Terengganu, Kampus Dungun, Madam Hazlim binti Hassan, Advisor of Kelab Debat dan Pidato, Cawangan Pahang, Kampus Jengka, and Miss Hanani binti Hamdan, Advisor of Kelab Debat dan Pidato UiTM, Cawangan Pahang, Kampus Rau, as well as Nur Atirah binti Mustafa, our head program of debate show. Without further ado, let's start our program by singing the national anthem, Negaraku and Wawasan Setia UiTM. I'm so sorry for the interruption. There must be a problem with the internet. So, ladies and gentlemen, to begin with our program today, I would like to call upon Muhammad Aiman Hafiz bin Alias to lead the recitation of prayer. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Al-Fatihah. Bismillah. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most kind. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad, ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma antas salam wa minkas salam wa ilayka ya'ud salam. Fahayyina Rabbana bis salam. Ya salamun sallimna ajma'in waj'alna min ibadika salihin. In the name of Allah, the
Amin, Amin, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Ayman, for the prayer. We hope that tonight's event will be carried out smoothly. Next, to continue with our agenda tonight, we are pleased to have Madam Nur Raihana binti Muhammad Salim, Advisor of Kelab Debat dan Pidato UiTM Cawangan Terengganu, Campus Dungun, to deliver the opening remarks and at the same time officiate this program. Let us all tend her a warm welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So I hope that all of you can hear me. Is it okay? Is it clear? Okay, so thank you. Okay, so first of all, thank you to Izati as the MC for tonight. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very warm greeting to Madam Hazlin binti Hassan, who is the advisor for KDP. KDP stand for Club Debate and Club Debat and Pidato. UiTM Cawangan Pahang Campus Jengka. Miss Hanani binti Hamdan, advisor of KDP UiTM Cawangan Pahang Campus Rao. Okay, the head of program for tonight, Miss Nur Atirah binti Mustafa. All the AJKs, all the communities, the participant from Community Indonesia Youth Debates English. So this is the special guest for today. And then all the lecturers, staffs, students, as well as the audience. So first and foremost, Alhamdulillah, praise to Allah for giving us the opportunity to gather on this lovely evening to witness one of the most exciting programs of 2021 organized by KDP UiTM CT and UiTM CP Cawangan Pahang. So it is my pleasure and privilege to welcome all to grace these occasions. So Alhamdulillah, we have a very good collaboration for this program. Thank you to Madam Hazlin and Miss Hanani who give support to these programs. Okay, so as a representative of KDP UiTM Cawangan Terengganu, Campus Dungun, I would like to thank KDP UiTM Cawangan Pahang from both campus, which is Campus Jengka and Rao, for your willingness to collaborate together with us. All teams have an equal effort behind the success of this program because only by working together, this program gets succeed. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much and congratulations to all committees, AJK, who involved in organizing this program from the very beginning until tonight. So we hope that tonight Allah will bless our program and gives this program run smoothly. Okay, for the audience information, this is not the first time we organized a virtual debate show. Okay, we know that we are now in COVID-19 situations. Okay, we are facing MCO and so on. So the online or the virtual program is coming in. So we need to move along with the current situations. So because of that, starting from last 2 semester, we already started with online program, okay, include a virtual debate show. And we hope that next year, inshallah, we will organize virtual or online pizza. So for those yang already familiar with pizza, it is one of the big debates competitions in Pantai Timur. So inshallah, we try to organize one virtual pizza next year. Okay, so hope we will get support from UiTM Cawangan Pahang as well. Okay, so actually last semester we had organized similar program but in Malay. So tonight we will organize in English. So we need to be fair to both debaters. Okay, so last semester Malay, this semester English. Okay. So strong support and active participant have made that event a huge success. So I'm hoping that the same for tonight, inshallah. Okay, in conjunction with the issue tonight, which is the House believe that quarantine is bad. So this is the issue for tonight. Okay, that will be debates by both team. So I would like to remind you guys to stay safe and take care of yourself during the COVID-19 pandemic. So last but not least, I hereby officiate the opening of debate show for tonight. Please enjoy the show and have fun, everyone. So thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Madam Norahana, for that wonderful remarks. Now, as the representative of Mara University of Technology, Cawangan, Pahang, let us call upon the advisor of Kelab, Debat dan Pidato UiTM Cawangan, Pahang, Kampus Jengke, Madam Hazlim binti Hassan, to give a few words. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum and a very good evening, everybody. Can you guys hear me clearly? Okay, right. Alhamdulillah, thank you so very much to Miss Izati and Hanis Izati, the MC for tonight. And now I actually have got a few problems with the internet connection just now, so I'll make my speech short. Yeah. So first of all, I would like to say thank you so much to the advisor of KDP. I believe that we use the same name, Kelab, Debat dan Pidato. UiTM Cawangan Terengganu, Kampus Dungun, Madam Nur Raihana Muhammad Salim. This is the first time that we are meeting and it's online. Inshallah, I hope that we will be able to do more collaborations after this, tetapi in real life, inshallah. And thank you to the president of KDP UiTM Cawangan Terengganu Campus Dungun, Ms. Wardina Safia alias, the program director, Ms. Nur Athira Mustafa, who has been contacting me and feeding me with information about this program. And not forgetting my beloved colleague, advisor from Campus Rao, Ms. Hanani Muhammad Hamdan. This is actually the second time that we meet online, right? Because I'm actually quite new with KDP Jengke. Yeah, I'm the new advisor for KDP Jengke. So this is the second time actually we meet online, and the president of KDP UiTM Cawangan Pahang Kampus Rao, Saudara Hisham Hilmi Omar, yeah. So Mr. Hisham Hilmi Omar, and not forgetting my KDP UiTM Cawangan Kampus Jengke President, Ms. Nurul Batrisha Kamarudin. Now the organizing committee and of course the I would say most welcome Indonesian audiences, right? And not forgetting the members of KDP from both campuses, from Dungun as well as from Pahang. Okay, so thank you so much for having me and KDP UiTM Pahang tonight, and I am actually very thrilled when I was first, I still remember when I was first approached by our committee member here. I think it was during Akasha, our previous president, yeah, and then now we have Patricia, yeah, taking over as the president. So this idea of the collaboration, if I'm not mistaken, it was started then, and I was thrilled to hear the collaboration. And Alhamdulillah, tonight we are here to basically sit down together and listen to the debaters from both teams. Yeah, and obviously, I believe that in the process of organizing this debate show, UiTM Pahang, KDP UiTM Pahang, obviously, I guess you have learned a lot from KDP Dungun, yeah, especially when I was being told by Ms. Atira that KDP Dungun has been in business, yes, since 1998. Yeah, so you are very much senior compared to UiTM Pahang. Okay, so thank you so much for the opportunity given, and I really hope that all of us will gain something from the show tonight, and I hope that this kind of collaboration will materialize again in the future. Okay, so I think that would be it on behalf of UiTM Cawangan Pahang. So thank you so much again to the advisor and to the organizing committee of KDP UiTM Cawangan Terengganu Kampus Dungun. Okay, thank you so much. Back to you, Ms. MC.
Thank you very much, Madam Haslin. Now, for the moment we've been waiting for, our main purpose of this program is about to begin. I would like to invite our respective chairperson, Hisham Hilmi bin Omar, to continue with our debate show. Please welcome.
Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a good evening to all. So, before we start our debate competition for today, I would like to introduce myself. I am Hisham Hilmi bin Omar, the chairperson and the timekeeper. So, before we go on further, I would like to introduce UiTM Jengke, the speakers from UiTM Jengke acting as a government, starting from Mr. Putra, who will be the Prime Minister, Mr. Aiman, the Deputy Prime Minister, and Ms. Alia, the government whip. As for the opposition side, we have Ms. Madiha as the leader of opposition, Ms. Adiha as the deputy leader of opposition, and Ms. Farzana as the whip of opposition. So, without further ado, I would like to call Mr. Putra as the Prime Minister as our first speaker from the government side. So, please.
Assalamualaikum and a very good night to the Honorable Chairperson, Timekeeper, to the advisor of KDP UiTM Cawangan Terengganu, Campus Dungun, advisor of KDP UiTM Cawangan Pahang, Campus Jengke, and for tonight, lovely viewers on YouTube Live. So for today's debates, our topic is that this house believes that quarantine is bad in all aspects. So Before we dive into our today's debate motion, we need to understand the definition and what is defined as quarantine. So quarantine, in my understanding, quarantine is to separate and restricting any person who are suspected with any contagious disease. While in Malaysia framework and context, how quarantine is laid out by the government and the ministry is according to Act 342, Section 15, Prevention and Control of Infectious Disease, mentioned that KKM, which is the Health Ministry for Government Malaysia, may instruct any person to be put place and restrict their movement in any designated areas. And in this definition by what I laid out earlier and what is meaning by Malaysian framework is have the same meaning. And we may heard the terms of lockdown for Malaysian, we are familiar with it. So lockdown is also a government order of which to restrict any subject in that area from any movement. And in further debate, all our points, both government and opposition, will refer to this definition as lockdown, quarantine, MCO, movement control order, and so on, have the same meaning. And we as a government, I would like to inform that our position in this today debate motion, we stand affirm that this quarantine is really bad. So today, as the first speaker, the Prime Minister, I will be talking to you about in economic aspect, and our second speaker will be talking about education and mental health aspect, and lastly, our third speaker will rebut any rebuttal and sum up our team case. And just go on with my speech here. Lockdown. Why government stand that this lockdown is bad? Lockdown is not only affect to one person, only to one group or party. Lockdown is affecting to all level of society in our country, where individuals, firms, businesses, and the government itself receive that negative impact. And which I'm going to straight to my first point in economic aspect. With lockdown, our country experienced with MCO, movement control order, quarantine, and lockdown in last year. We're being hit by a negative impact, mostly to our economic growth and our economic system. Why? We know from the definition earlier, lockdown, quarantine, restrict our movement, take our liberty to move freely in our state and our area. And by imposing lockdown and quarantine, it also restricts our freedom of circulation of money. And by this, people cannot go out to shopping, to go to their favorite mall, to go to their favorite restaurants. And this made businesses, especially small businesses, stores and hawkers, suffered losses. And this will make their revenue, their monthly revenue, even as we know, stores and hawkers are dependent most on their daily revenue. And this really impact them in terms of their livelihood. If I may quote from Prime Minister Budin Yassin, he mentioned that if Malaysia implement this MCO, not only our economic system, sectors, and all system that depends on our economic will cripple, but also our public health system will be crippled. And by that, in last year, our MCO 1.0, our country suffered a loss of more than 2.4 billion ringgit a day during lockdown. In a day, we lost around 2.4 billion ringgit. And imagine that 2.4 billion ringgit, we can spend it to develop our country, to give incentive to the small businesses, to hawkers, to put place as their capital. And these losses lead to a statistic published by Department of Statistics Malaysia in December 2020. The numbers of unemployed people during that period, or maybe now worsening, numbers of unemployed people during that time is over 700,000 people. And these numbers of unemployed people equals to 4.8% in an unemployment rate. And if opposition know, in general economic theory, especially in macroeconomics, it mentions that any country suffering with unemployment rate over 4%, it has only one meaning, that our economic health, our economic growth suffered a downturn, and an FDI, foreign direct investment investor will be just invest in another country, and our country will be in loss in terms of revenue, in terms of production, in terms of level of society. And that statistic that I mentioned, that 700,000 people are employed, and the employment rate that I mentioned earlier, the most affected industry is tourism and services. Tourism industry and services suffered mostly because of the imposing order of quarantine and lockdown, where people cannot go out, where tourism industry are dependent on tourists, people to go out, and by tourism industry affected by it, a society who partake and participating in this industry is mostly suffered with it. Mostly society who work in this industry are mainly from B40 and M40, and this with the declination of our tourism industry suffer right now. Most of the employees are having lose their jobs, losing their sources of living, and in rare cases where they lost their home. So, in conclusion, what I'm trying to convey to the chairman and also to the viewers tonight is lockdown may have a good benefits in terms of medical, but if you look in the bigger picture in our society itself, on our country, it it affected to all people, to all levels of community, individuals, to firms, to businesses, to industry, even to the up top of our society, which is government. and and the most affected group or party is the B40, where they depends on the wages to meet. And by that, I concluded all my points here, and I pass back to the chairman. Thank you very much.
First speaker spoke for 8 minutes and 6 seconds. Thank you for the speech, Mr. Prime Minister. So we will move on to our Leader of Opposition, Ms. Madiha. So please continue with your speech.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, currently we are in situation that has really affects all of us, and we feel disappointed, living in prison, and that is what we're talking about, that quarantined is bad. However, in our side, that quarantined is good. Before we move further, I would like to rebut the point from the Prime Minister. To rebut your point, before that, let me tell you that quarantine helps to maintain the social gap of lower income and higher income. This is because the number of spending by both parties are done based on the necessity needs during this pandemic. As people shop less on high value items to save their money compared to they use to do during normal norms. Let me ask you questions. Would you rather to go shopping and be affected, or would you like to quarantine and help the governments to fight these infections? Okay, let me move with the definition. So we as the opposition sides agree with the government's definitions of quarantine and lockdown. However, I would like to add about the meaning of that. And this is the point that the Prime Minister is lost. So bad in these motions is something that is undesirable. Obviously, people in Malaysia doesn't want to do quarantine because it's something undesirable. But they have to do that as the government's guidelines in order to protect ourselves, since we have movement control order, MCO, while in lockdown. But in our side, quarantine is good thing. I mean that the meaning of the good thing is something that brings us advantage and gives us benefit. Ladies and gentlemen, quarantine gives benefit during this pandemic of COVID-19 disease. Now, let us focus on the type of people that have to quarantine. So first, people who have tested positive for COVID-19, and second is people who have been in close contact with someone who has COVID-19 and have the symptoms. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to strengthen up our fact and cite that lockdown is for normal people without the symptoms and suspected. Meanwhile, people in quarantine go through isolations. In Malaysia, most of its isolations is separating the infected people and from the uninfected people. To be frankly, isolation is same as quarantine in Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, this house strongly believes that quarantine is good because it helps to reduce the infected people from COVID-19. Why I say this, ladies and gentlemen? This is because from quarantine, you will be isolated. So those people who have the disease will immediately start separating themselves from uninfected people and just go to the hospital. This proves that quarantine helps to prevent the spread of COVID-19. When you go through quarantine, it helps to practice avoid 3 C's that have been stated by the World Health Organization, WHO. What are 3 C's is that? So 3 C's include close contact, confined places, and crowded places. So when you practice these quarantine, the people prevent from close contact and helps them to not go crowded places. When they quarantined, they go as isolations, and it gives advantage for having lockdown itself. Because in Malaysia, not everyone cannot go out. For example, a mother still can go outside to buy rice. With this MCO, people can go out but with limitations. So by quarantine, the mother will not infected by COVID-19 and will not get infected because the infected people are isolated. Moreover, quarantine practice to avoid confined places without ventilations. For example, when you go to karaoke room, the place is poor ventilations and have not. Am I lagging?
No. You may continue with your proposition.
Okay. The place is poor ventilations and have not proper breathing places. You cannot help going to close contact, which means that, ladies and gentlemen, quarantine helps to practice the avoid 3 C's and is a high protections. With high protections, number of cases can be reduced. And this also helps to lighten up the burden of the frontliner, for example, the medical staff. Why I'm saying this, ladies and gentlemen, because it just happened in hospital Sungai Buloh. They have reached 100% bed capacity and have less medical staff. For example, instead of taking care of 5 people at once, this medical officer tends to take care of 20 people or even more at once. Thus, this will cause the medic staff in exhaustion, frustrated, depressed, and reduce the quality of work. So to summarize up the points is that our house believes that quarantine is good to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Thank you.
Speaker spoke for 6 minutes and 17 seconds. Thank you, Leader of Opposition, for the speech. So I would like to call upon Deputy Prime Minister Aiman, Mr. Aiman, for his speech. So continue.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I, as the second speaker and the Deputy Prime Minister, would like to propose points referring to today's topic, which is quarantine is bad in all aspects. But before that, I would like to rebut the points of the Leader of Opposition. If the Leader of Opposition said that quarantine helps to prevent COVID-19, Although I would like to agree, but virus can be airborne. Quarantine is to separating people who suspected with contagious disease. Therefore, if the people get infected by a variant virus, they won't know that they carried the virus because they don't show any symptoms. It could also be the fact that their immunity neutralizes the virus, and when that people are quarantining with other people in the same room, the other people could be infected by a little virus because of their immunity are not as the same as the person who carried it. As a
POI.
solution, yes.
So
You are
what?
not allowed to POI yet.
Okay.
It's not 1 minute yet. Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
As a solution, people need to raise effort to social distance even in the same room with each other. Wear a mask at
POI.
all time, in which it could be a hassle for many people. Now let's get to my point. I'll reject that POI. Nowadays, many people had already transitioned to a digital way for education known as online learning. But are we as a student really ready for the full transition of it? You see, students struggle in many ways on the online world. Some of the factors are a non-conducive environment. Their families could be having issues and lecturers or teachers wouldn't know what is the reason that students left the online meeting so suddenly. Thus, grew rage to the students for not attending it. Some student does not even have the right equipment for online learning. These pressures are often neglected by most of the educators, thinking that we could resolve it by our own selves. Quarantine had caused thousands family to lose their jobs, in which the students are pressured to buy equipment that are considered expensive to them. A survey was done in which students of University Sultan Zainal Abidin voiced their opinion on online learning. It shows that 8.8% suffers from non-conducive environment, 8.9% struggles with not having the right equipment to study, and 79.3% of students are struggling with internet connectivity. And all of this percentage are experienced from 93.1% of students who took the survey, which means many people are suffering throughout online learning. Unless you are a wealthy individual, this problem wouldn't come about. Now, to compare, this quarantine could cause struggles for parents or individuals to buy equipment for online studies, but sometimes the one that they can afford are either buffers a lot or outdated programs which resulted in not participating online meets. To clarify, students are not ready to transition to online learning that pressures students to resolve on our own when the quarantine had caused struggles financially. Secondly, as a second speaker, I would like to point out that quarantine had affected individuals from the mental health aspects negatively. Some individuals quarantine by themselves alone, which can leave that person with morbid thoughts, which is related to what we are facing right now, which is coronavirus, could cause rise of depression and anxiety. This could be severe to most people who are mentally distraught and might be causing the surge of suicidal tendencies among teens and adults. In Malaysia, things about mental health are sometimes a taboo thing to talk about with friends, especially when they are consuming media which sometimes misinterpreted the mental health problems. Ministry of Health of Malaysia recorded 465 attempted suicides between January until June last year, and most of it are from teens, and shockingly, half of the numbers are from kids. If the quarantine get extended, it wouldn't be a surprise that the statistic of it will rise since many families are affected deeply. I would like to emphasize that quarantine had negatively affected all of us mentally and could also cause a surge on the suicidal tendencies during quarantine. Especially now in the digital age, we could not know what those individuals are thinking and can only talk through the screen when meeting their friends. That's all for my points. I would like to pass to the chairman. Thank you.
Speaker spoke for 4 minutes and 53 seconds. Thank you for the speech. So I would like to invite the second speaker of the opposition side, the Deputy Leader of Opposition, Ms. Afrina, to continue the debate for their side.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And I bid a very good night to all. So, as the deputy leader of opposition side, I'm hereby to do some rebuttals regarding the points that have been said by the second speaker of the opposition side, known as the deputy prime minister. First thing first, I would like to say sorry that we on the opposition side could not really agree with those statements and points thrown by him because of various reasons. So, first thing first, the second speaker of the government had said that people spend too people people spend too much on to buy the learning equipment. And then, as for my rebuttals, I think that actually um, some the government and other people had the solution for this. So, um, as we all know, the government have waived SIM cards to students with data for online learning purposes. They also provide financial assistance and give away free laptops to underprivileged students. For example, Syed Sadiq goes to their homes to give away laptops at Muar Johor. And as for myself, I apply and get a free laptop from Menteri Besar Selangor. So as for my second rebuttal, I could not agree with the Deputy Prime Minister saying that quarantine is bad after all, because as the leader of opposition said that quarantine can actually reduce the infected people from COVID-19, and then the number of cases can be reduced and it will lighten the burdens of frontliners. So moving on to my points. Moving on to my points. So why do I say that quarantine is not bad after all? It is because it do gives good impacts on the environment. So it do give good impacts on the environment, like reducing the air pollution and water pollution. For air pollution, as we all know, Malaysia had experienced movement control orders since 18 March 2020. So during that time, every economic activity has been shut down throughout all states in Malaysia. And then everyone were asked to work from home. So when everyone were asked to work from home, there will actually be less vehicles were used, and then there will be less carbon dioxide and other harmful gases released. So um, when that happen, it will actually reduce the air pollution, and the air quality will actually increase from time to time. So, for example, based on my research, it was stated that all cities showed decreasing in all and air pollutants in air, such as sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and carbon monoxide. So, with that, we can actually see that skies can be seen clearer during quarantine at all states in Malaysia, especially city areas such as Kuala Lumpur and Kota Kinabalu. So with that, it is not actually reducing the air pollution, but it actually gives our people a better health. This is because polluted air like smoke and soot tends to be slow killers, especially to those who already have respiratory problems such as respiratory problems and heart attacks. And this shows that the good sides of quarantine that improve the air quality does improve our people health by not getting exposed to more polluted air. And then moving on to water pollution. During this quarantine, water pollution is less likely to be happen as all factories were ordered to close temporarily. And then there will be no toxic or domestic waste being thrown to the rivers by the factories and people. And then the waterways looks clearer since MCO happened in Malaysia. For example, based on my research on the internet, some people say that they can see the Malacca River much clearer than before, and they could also see fishes in it. And then, instead of air pollution and water pollution, our surrounding actually looks cleaner than before because less people are going out to throw trashes here and there. And then, moving on to my next point, why do I say that quarantine is not bad after all. This is because we actually had the opportunity to learn new things and find new hobbies. So as we all know, some of us will tend to get bored for staying in for too long. So learning new things will increase our knowledge, and we can actually spend our time effectively during the quarantine. So these are the top three things that we should learn or make it as a
POI.
hobby. Sorry, I'm not gonna entertain that. And the first one is learning new language, and second is make online business or learn more about online business. And then the third one is reading. I suggest to you all to learn about these three things because it is actually a good investment for our future. So for for learning new language, what are the benefits of
POI.
it? The benefit. Sorry, I'm not gonna entertain that seriously. Okay.
Alright.
So learning new language. What is the benefits of learning new language? Firstly, we could connect with other people around the world, and then we get news faster than others, because we understand their language, and then we could actually advance our career. As we can see now, most people that learn the language or more language have the tendency to get jobs easily compared to people who are not. And then they tend to get more bonus and have higher salaries than um, those who can only speak English and their native language. And then
May I POI?
sorry, no. And then
Right.
we can by learning new language, we can make it as a part-time job and make side incomes from it. Okay. Not only that, learning new language can actually help to rebuild our economy with other countries. In today's globalized world, people are increasingly mobile and often need to communicate across different language. And then the economic studies have shown that fluency in a dominant language is important to economic and increase economic efficiency. With that, I end my speech and I pass back to the chairman.
The Deputy Leader of Opposition spoke for 7 minutes and 28 seconds. So lastly, from the government side, I would like to call upon Ms. Alia to continue the debate from the government side. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly? All right. 2 weeks at the comfort of your home might not sound too bad, or even 2 months, but imagine being in a quarantine for over a year or more. If you have the options, ask yourself, would you opt to be in a quarantine once again? Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nur Alia Fatiha, the government whip for tonight's debate. As previously stated, I am hereby standing for the motion, and if I have your permission, I would like to begin by asking one question to the opposition side. Should not the harms of lockdowns be considered, as COVID-19 has changed many of the social, economic, environmental, and health of the people? As the government whip, I will rebut the opposition side arguments now that we have seen both sides of the coin. Madhya has stated just now that the implementation of lockdown has maintained the social gap between the high incomes and the low incomes. However, I would like to rebut this point where we can see the double standard and social gap very obviously that's currently happening right now. Some people don't even have more than 1,000 ringgit in their savings account, while some have the luxury to hold such big events, and even go on a honeymoon, and some go to Nilai just to buy carpets. Talk about maintaining social gap. The first speaker of the opposition also contended that quarantine helps prevent the spread of COVID-19. Yes, the argument is valid. However, are we just going to ignore the fact that we need to ignore the fact that our country's economy is at stake? There are impacts that we need to consider before saying that quarantine is good, as if it is the only option that we have and just to take the easy way out. and just to take the easy way out. Cases surge, put people in a lockdown, cases decline, lift the lockdown, and the cycle repeats. Even if a lockdown is effective in reducing the spread of the virus, there are still reasons to favor an altruistic approach on moral grounds. When there was little or no knowledge of COVID-19, lockdown was considered an appropriate measure. The public health objective then was to prevent spread and death in the population, as well as to buy time for healthcare systems to prepare and deal with the disease. No mention has been made whether the harms of lockdowns were factored into the decision making. Is putting people in a lockdown still an appropriate response to spikes at the current level of knowledge of the behavior of the virus? Every decision made will affect most people, if not all. Deputy Leader of Opposition also claimed that environmental pollution has declined due to the implementation of the lockdown. Whilst our team does not doubt this, we argue that it will not reverse the effect as the damage has been done no matter how long people are staying in a lockdown. This is an insignificant advantage to quarantine as it is only short term to bring such big impacts. Her next argument was we can learn new hobbies being in a lockdown. However, this would require time, attention, and money, which not many people could afford. It takes time, and to say that you can somehow make money from it would actually be a bit too risky, considering that the economic is pretty bad and people would be more careful not to spend money in those unnecessary things. People would prefer free things online where you can just learn things on the internet rather than go to you to seek just to learn a new language. It does not take a quarantine for you to develop new hobbies.
PI.
Sorry, I'm not going to entertain that. It does not take a quarantine for you to develop new hobbies, such as the hobbies that have been said by the Deputy Leader of Opposition just now. Our team's first argument was economic damage that quarantine would have caused. Data on the contraction of the economy, business closures, and increasing unemployment are well documented. Some people can work from home, many others cannot, especially those providing certain services. Many face perils in their employment and low income. Business closures due to lockdown requirements or loss of business affect those employed in them. Many are daily paid or self-employed. They can lose all or part of their income. School closures require many to provide care to their children at home, thereby affecting their efficiency and effectiveness. This affects the low-income group and single-parent families more than the others. The economic downturn is definitely not good for long term, as the welfare of the people will be affected awfully. The second argument came from my Deputy Prime Minister, which emphasized on educational matters, primarily online learning. Here, the Deputy Leader of Opposition rebutted that we have solution, but it is not entirely true because face-to-face exposure would be more effective as compared to pre-recorded lectures. There is increasing evidence to suggest that children and young people may be affected most by physical distancing and lockdown measures. There is a risk that school closures will intensify the existing inequalities in educational attainment. Surveys suggest that affluent households are more likely to be provided active assistance from schools and that more hours a day are spent on home learning, which add up to the stress among students. Secondly, we cannot deny the fact that people are affected in terms of health, especially mentally. There is a high prevalence of psychological distress, emotional disturbance, depression, and stress among those in quarantine. The effects of quarantines or lockdowns on health can be direct, indirect, or both. Social isolation and loneliness have impacted on the well-being for many. These are definitely not easy times for all. Anxieties abound for all sorts of good reasons. The least we could do is to be empathetic towards each other. A carefully constructed approach to the lockdown will help alleviate some of the suffering of those affected. We, from the government side, are not claiming that lockdowns have no good sides to it. However, it might bring bad effects in the long run. It is time to take a pause, recalibrate Malaysia's response to the true risk, make rational cost-benefit analysis of the trade-offs, and review the lockdown mentality, which is a simplistic and crude intervention, to say the least. The failure to consider the impact of extreme measures that have become the norm in many places in the COVID-19 pandemic has been stunning. The destruction of lives and livelihoods in the name of survival will haunt us for decades. COVID-19 will be with us even when vaccination is available. Can the country's economy and its population mental and physical health sustain protracted lockdowns on every occasion there is a spike? How long will the public tolerate the lockdowns? When will pandemic fatigue lead to pandemic anger and its attendant consequences? There is an urgent need for the government to review its policies and strategies and mitigate the issues from the very core. Mr. Chairman, opposition, and members of the audience, here is a conclusion that seems utterly obvious. It is inevitable that at some point a lockdown will be necessary, but it may turn into a crisis and bring bad impacts because of poor planning. The bad implementation has put human lives at greater risk, with health and livelihoods both at stake. It is what's best for the society and the people that matters. Throughout the course of this debate, the affirmative team has proven and demonstrated how quarantine is bad in the aspects of economics, education, and mental health well-being. The opposition side, on the other hand, has failed to provide a clear and concise analysis on why they stand against the said motion. In light of this evidence, we strongly believe that quarantine is bad in all aspects. Back to Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Speaker spoke for 8 minutes and 52 seconds. Thank you to the government whip. So last but not least, I'd like to invite the last speaker from the opposition side, which is the opposition whip, Ms. Farzana, to rebut the government side.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I bid a very good night to the audience and the fellow debaters. Okay, so first of all, before I start my rebuttals, let me ask you guys this question. Do you guys agree, from the government side, quarantine helps to detect the number of cases? For my team, for the opposition side, our team agree that quarantine helps to detect the number of cases because of firstly, when we stay at home, when we be in quarantine at home, the government will know, or the government will acknowledge that where the number of cases that increase in this certain area. Okay, and then the second question, which is, do you think the education can be done better in virtual, as we can help to create high thinking skills? Okay, for me, for my team, education. Okay, as nowadays we are being hit by a new norm, which is everything that we do is based on online. So be it online class, whatever things that we do in online. Okay, so I'm gonna rebut that question on the second speaker from the government side, which is he said just now that the students who have a low cost will have a decreased appliance of online learning, which is for example, like maybe some of them will not have a computer, so okay, so whenever quarantine is implied in our country, there's no denying that some of the family that have low income will get affected. Okay, so hence that's why my team, which is Madiha, which is Afrina,
Arfina, the second speaker, said that we need said that said that our minister, Said Sadi will give a computer, will give a free computer for those who are in need of that. Okay, so I'm going to start with the rebuttals from the Prime Minister, which is Putra. He said just now that when our country, Malaysia, implied the quarantine or lockdown, MCO. Yes, I do agree that when we imply quarantine in our country, Malaysia, our economy will our economy in our country will decrease somehow. Okay. So there's no denying that our economy will be likely to be decreased. Okay, so and that is why the government side, our government, our Prime Minister, which is Tan Sri Muhyiddin, announced that they will give the Prihatin Rakyat package of 230 billion ringgit. Okay. What is Prihatin Rakyat package actually? Okay, so the Prihatin Rakyat package actually is aimed to help those in need, which is a family that has low income or
POI.
or a businessman who suffered major loss. So basically the Prihatin Rakyat package is to help for those who in need of that. Okay.
POI, can I?
Sorry. Okay,
Right.
and then also the Prime Minister said that the public health system will be crippled. Yes, as we can see right now, our public health system is now crippled, and that is why our Director General, DG Hisham, said that in the news that we need to stay at home. If we don't have anything to
POI?
do, yes.
Correct. So what I mentioned with cripple, what I mean by public health will be crippled is the government does not have any budget to support the public health. So can you imagine if the government still continue with lockdown and with that lockdown, as I said earlier, the country itself, our economy will be in downturn and we don't have any money. So how we are going to support our public health if we continue quarantine? Would you mind to answer that?
Can you repeat the question again?
All right. So as I said earlier, that public health system will cripple if we
Yes.
still implement PKP, right? So can you answer the question if the government still impose PKP, I mean MCO, and by MCO I had said earlier that we are losing 2.4 billion ringgit a day, and how government to support public health system if we don't have any money to support it? Can you mind to answer that?
Can I say
Okay, so as Putra has stated just now that if government impose MCO, they will not likely have no budget for that. Okay, that is why I said just now that when that our Director General Health, DG Hisham, said that we need to quarantine to stay at home. For those who doesn't have anything to do outside, just stay at home. So in that case, we can curb the COVID-19 cases, and hence if we stay at home, if we quarantine ourselves, if we restrict our movement, then the cases will be likely decrease. And also, if the COVID-19 cases decrease, then the public health system will not be crippled, as they have enough appliances, for example, ICU bed, um, oxygen tank, and so on. Is that answer your question?
All right, just continue.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. So that's all for the rebuttals. So I'm going to state that for my team points is that the leader of opposition said that Madiha said just now that to curb these COVID-19 cases, we need to use the 3 Cs, which is confined, avoid crowded place, and and then avoid the close contact. Okay, so yes, using 3Cs will less likely decrease the COVID-19 cases, which is when we go outside. We need to avoid crowded place. We need to avoid crowded place, and for those who have go outside for a while, just please remember that always wash your hands, and yes, do everything that you need to do. And then for the deputy leader of opposition said that when we stay at home, when we quarantine ourselves, the air quality will improve and the water pollution will clear. Yes, when we stay at home, when all the sectors are closed, which is for example the industrial sector closed, this will lead to the improvement of the air quality itself, because of first of all, for sure, the industrial sector will not operate because it's closed. And then secondly is because when we stay at home, when we quarantine ourselves, we will not using our car, like Afrina, my second speaker, said just now. Okay, and then for the learn new things, and then Afrina stated just now that when we stay at home, when we quarantine ourselves, we can learn new things, which is learn new language. Yes, because when we don't have something to do, we will be likely to have to begin something with learning new language, which can lead us to become a person who can speak a foreign language.
POI.
Yes.
All right. So as you said that in our free time we do learning new language and sorts. So are you implying that person who undergo quarantine are learning that language out of boredom or out of curiosity, out of interest? Can you care to explain that?
Sorry.
Does that mean your point is any person who undergo quarantine may learn new language, isn't it?
Yes.
So are you implying that that person learning that language out of boredom but not out of interest or curiosity?
No. Because of why? Because when we quarantine ourselves, because when we stay at home, we tend to to be a person who can speak a foreign language, not because of we bored or something. No, because okay, I give you an example. Like, I have one of my friends that so into the Korean drama, so she will from that moment, she tried to learn the Korean language by watching YouTube, So in that case, she learned a new language not out of boredom, because of her interest of the K-pop, of the K-drama, first of all, and then it will lead to the to her learning a new language because of her interest.
Opposition Whip, can you summarize your speech? It's already
Oh,
extend
okay.
your time. Okay.
Okay. I strongly agree. I strongly disagree that quarantine is bad, and so I raise my case. Thank you.
Okay, with the end of the speech from the opposition whip, have marked the end of the debate session here tonight. So I would like to pass back this floor to the MC of tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for that wonderful performance. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, our program has come to an end. Every journey has its end and every path does stop somewhere. We appreciate you guys for taking time off your busy schedule to join us tonight. We hope you enjoy the show. To end this program, I would like to call upon Muhammad Aiman Hafiz bin Alias to lead the recitation of prayer. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Kindly give us strength and courage to face the struggle to find and gain knowledge. Kindly bestow blessing and physical and spiritual health, fitness of mind, peace of mind, strength of spirit. Ya Allah, with your mercy and protection, we are able to gather here for the closing ceremony of debate show. We rise our grateful on your acceptance and permission for us to organize this event until we get this program finished successfully. Ya Allah, give us strength to our teachers and our leaders to continue to serve for people, society, nation and religions. Ya Allah, make our country a country that got the blessing and favor and everlasting peace and prosperity of all time. Allahumma ansuril muslimina fi Palestine, ihzimhum mansurna alaihim, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Amin ya rabbal alamin. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Don't forget to fill out the Google form provided in the comments section below. Thank you and good night everyone.